जय श्री कृष्ण। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Mishnapat Paramansa Parivrajakatarishtottara Satat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Mishnapat Paramansa Parivrajakatarishtottara Satat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, The Glories of Devotional Service. Text number 11. Sorry, text 10. Yeah. Atha me deva sammoham. Atha me deva sammoham. अथ मे देव सम्मोहम् अपाकृष्टुं त्वम् अर्हसि। अपाकृष्टुं त्वम् अर्हसि। अपाकृष्टुं त्वमर्हसि। यः अवग्रहः अहं मम इति यो वग्रहोऽहं ममेतीति। यो वग्रहोऽहं ममेतीति। एतस्मिन् योजितः त्वया। एतस्मिन् योजितस्त्वया। एतस्मिन् योजितस्त्वया। अथ मे देव सम्मोहम् अपाकृष्टुं त्वमर्हसि। यो वग्रहोऽहं ममेतीति। एतस्मिन् योजितस्त्वया। अथ मे देव सम्मोहम् अपाकृष्टुं त्वमर्हसि। यो वग्रहोऽहं ममेतीति। एतस्मिन् योजितस्त्वया। Atha, now, may, my, Deva, O Lord, sammoham, delusion, apakrashtam, to dispel, tava tvam, you, arhasi, be pleased, yaha, which, avagraha, misconception, aham, I, mama, mine, iti, thus, iti, thus, etasmin, in this, yojitaha, engaged, tvaya, by you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. Kindly repeat. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The false ego of identifying one's body as one's self and of claiming things possessed in relationship with this body is called Maya. In Bhagavad-gita, 15th chapter, the Lord says, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and from me come everyone's remembrance and forgetfulness. Devahuti has stated that false identification of the body with the self and attachment for possessions in relation to the body are also under the direction of the Lord. Does this mean that the Lord discriminates by engaging one in His devotional service and another in sense gratification? If that were true, it would be an incongruity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but that is not the actual fact. As soon as the living entity forgets his real constitutional position of eternal servitorship to the Lord and wants instead to enjoy himself by sense gratification, he is captured by Maya. This capture by Maya is the consciousness of false identification with the body and attachment for the possessions of the body. These are the activities of Maya, and since Maya is also an agent of the Lord, it is indirectly the action of the Lord. The Lord is merciful. If anyone wants to forget Him and enjoy this material world, He gives him full facility, not directly, but through the agency of his material potency. Therefore, since the material potency is the Lord's energy, indirectly, it is the Lord who gives the facility to forget Him. Devahuti therefore said, my engagement in sense gratification was also due to you. Now, kindly get me free from this entanglement. By the grace of the Lord, one is allowed to enjoy this material world. But when one is disgusted with material enjoyment and is frustrated, and when one sincerely surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord is so kind that He frees one from entanglement. Krishna says, therefore, in Bhagavad-gita, first of all surrender, and then I will take charge of you and free you from all reactions of sinful activities. Sinful activities are those activities performed in forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. In this material world, activities for material enjoyment, which are considered to be pious, are also sinful. For example, one sometimes gives something in charity to a needy person with a view to getting back the money 4 times increased. Giving with the purpose of gaining something is called charity in the mode of passion. Everything done here is done in the modes of material nature, and therefore all activities but service to the Lord are sinful. Because of sinful activities, we become attracted by the illusion of material attachment, and we think, I am this body. I think of the body as myself and of bodily possessions as mine. Devahuti requested Lord Kapila to free her from that entanglement of false identification and false possession. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namavom Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Some time back, Chanchalapati Prabhu narrated this to me. Once he was traveling by a flight, maybe from Bangalore to Delhi or Delhi to Bangalore, either way. Prabhu had reached the airport and he was boarding the flight. And it so happened that that day, Prabhu had some injury on his knee. So for him to, one of the knees, maybe right knee or whatever. And it was difficult for him to bend his knee. And the flight from between Delhi and Bangalore takes about 2.5 hours. It was difficult for Prabhu to sit for 2.5 hours, but he was thinking, okay, somehow let us take a little tapasya, a little austerity and somehow manage. And Prabhu was in the economy class. You know how it is in the economy class in flights. The seats are very close by and hardly there is any space for one to keep one's feet. So the knees will be practically touching the row ahead of you. Naturally, there is no space to stretch one's legs and Prabhu was feeling a little uncomfortable, but still somehow we'll manage. Like that Prabhu went and he took his boarding pass, checked in all his baggage, boarded the aircraft, and then searched for his seat, found his seat and sat down. And somehow managed to bend his knee and little bit difficulty and Prabhu sat down. And there are 3 seats in each row and there were already 2 other people seated there. So Prabhu's settled down in his seat and other people were boarding. Boarding is going on, people are coming. Then a little later, one man walked up and he said to Chanchalapati Prabhu, "This seat is mine." Prabhu was a little confused, so he took out his boarding pass and checked. The seat was correct. He asked that man, "Can you show me your boarding pass?" He showed his boarding pass. That also showed the same seat. Normally it doesn't happen. They have software and all that, all these things they manage properly. But somehow that day, probably some software glitch or whatever, 2 people had been issued the same seat. And it's a full flight. None of the other seats were empty. This other man, Prabhu was already sitting. This man stood there in the aisle and he called the air hostess. What to do? It has to be resolved. He called the air hostess and showed her, "This is my ticket." And the air hostess asked Chanchalapati Prabhu, "Please show your ticket." She looked at both the tickets and both of them were for the same flight, same date and for the same seat, 2 different people. She realized that this is some problem. Then she told the gentleman who was standing, "Please wait for a few minutes, let me resolve this." This man immediately got angry and he started shouting and yelling at this air hostess. You know, in India, these air hostesses are all young boys or young girls. They are not old people. In the US, if you go, it is all old people. Above 50 only you will find air hostess and air hosts. So this naturally, this girl was a little flustered. She was not able to calm down. She was requesting the man. Some genuine mistake has happened from the airline side. It was natural that the man got angry. And she was trying to make him calm, peaceful. She was trying, "Give me a little time, I'll solve." And this man was going on, getting more and more angry. Then Chanchalapati Prabhu very graciously he got up from his seat and he said, "Don't worry, you please occupy this seat. I'll wait until the matter gets resolved." So that man also immediately he got down, he got into the seat, sat down, and he became calm. And this air hostess was also relieved. Abba, problem guy, Then she told Prabhu, "Please wait for a few minutes. I'll figure out something and I'll get back." And she took both the tickets and went. And a few minutes went by and others were boarding and practically the aircraft was full. There was no other seat which was free. After maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something, the air hostess came back. And she told Prabhu that we have figured out what was the mistake. But now the aircraft is also full. We don't have any other seat. So I am upgrading to a business class seat. So she escorted Chanchalapati Prabhu and made him sit on one business class seat. And then Prabhu, so business class means you have got more leg space and all that. So Prabhu was able to stretch his leg and comfortably he was able to travel all the way. So somehow Krishna's kripa. You see how this journey between Bangalore and Delhi takes about 2.5 hours. And everybody knows that I am going to sit in this aircraft for only 2.5 hours. Even this man, the other gentleman who made a fuss about his seat being occupied by somebody else, even he also knew 2.5 hours only I am going to sit in that seat. But he was so attached to that seat. My seat, how can you give to someone else? You see, he also knows it's only 2.5 hours. After 2.5 hours, he gets off the aircraft. Somebody else will come and occupy that seat. And he will say, "This is my seat." After another 2.5 hours or whatever the next journey is, after that time also, that man also has to get off and somebody else will come and say, "This is my seat." But for that 2.5 hours, when he is sitting on that seat, the man feels so much attached. This is my seat. So much so that this man, when he found somebody else sitting on his seat, he became so angry. He started shouting, he started yelling, and he became so upset. Why? Because my seat. How can you give my seat to somebody else? This is how attachment is in this material world. Aham mameti. Mama, this is mine. This seat is mine. Why? Because that man also has to go home. Probably he was going home or he's going to the next destination to his office or whatever. And if he is not able to sit there, what will happen? If he doesn't get his seat, he may not be able to go back to his home. Then where will he sleep in that night? All these things must have been running in his mind. This kind of conception, this is mine. Actually, in the Srimad-Bhagavatam also, it describes what is the genesis of this thinking, this is mine. What is the genesis? Pum sahastriyam mitunibbhavametam tayor mitho hriday granthi mahuhu ato griha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Where is this aham mameti coming from? Just like Devahuti is also saying today, in today's verse. What is she saying? Avagraha aham mameti. This I have, due to my feeling of false ego, I have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relationships. So, how does this aham mameti, this is mine, I am this body and this is mine, come about? What is the genesis? The beginning is pum sahastriyam dhunibhavametam. If you see this whole world, everybody is under this conception. I am this body, this is mine. Everything related to this body is mine. This aeroplane seat is mine. This house is mine. This family is mine. This family is mine. This job is mine. This money is mine. So everybody in this world is running with this conception of aham mameti. I am this body and this is mine. And actually this whole world is being driven. Everybody is functioning, everybody is working, everybody is energetically putting every ounce of his energy and power available at his disposal to pursue this conception of this is mine. If this conception of mine is not there, nobody will work hard. Everybody is working hard day and night, traveling thousands of kilometers Just like this man was taking a flight and traveling 2.5 hours, thousands of kilometers. Why? Because he has a strong sense of this is mine, this is my job, this is my family, this is my seat in the aircraft, this is my seat in the bus, this is my seat in the train. Everybody is like this. So, where is this coming from? Pum sahastriyam mithuni bhavam etam. The beginning is the attraction between a man and a woman. Now what happens when a person, when two people of the opposite sex get attracted to each other? It doesn't end with that attraction getting fulfilled. The man and the woman come together and satisfy their attraction. It doesn't end there. It will lead to another thing. Ato graha kshetra sutapta vittai. What happens? Once a man and a woman come together to satisfy their attraction, naturally, to satisfy that attraction, you need a house, you need a private place where you can have your, where you can carry out the activities of your relationship. You cannot do it out in the street like animals. So you need a house, griha. And if you need a house, what do you need? If you somehow you inherited a house from your parents or something like that, then it's very easy. Half the job is done. But then, even if you have a house which is gifted to you by somebody or you have inherited from somebody else, you did not have to work hard for it. But still, to maintain it, you need money. Why? There will be corporation tax, there will be house tax, there will be electricity bill, there will be water bill, you will have to paint the building. During the rains, some leakage will be there, you have to rectify it. So, simply having a house, it doesn't end there. To maintain that house also, you need money. And if you are not fortunate enough to inherit some house, then what you have to do? You have to earn the money to be able to buy a house. Or at least rent a place where you can live. Man and woman, they can live together. So what happens? You need money. Vitta. Now if you need money, what you have to do? You have to have a source of income, kshetra. You have to have a job, or you have to have a business, or you have to have a piece of land from which you can acquire wealth. So one after the other, these things keep coming. Ato griha kshetra sutta apta. Now what happens? Once you have a wealth, you have enough money, you have a house, and you and your partner are there. Doesn't end there. Man and a woman are living together. What will happen? It will result in children. Sutta. And now children, if you give birth to children, it doesn't end there. You have to feed them, you have to maintain them, you have to give them good education. So, for that also you need more money. And then, once you have children, you have a house, you have a job, you have money, all these things are there, then what happens? There will be so many friends, there will be so many relatives. They will all come and ask you, today is your birthday, what? Where is the party? Today is your wedding anniversary, where are you taking us? You are living in a social world. You have to satisfy their desires and expectations. You cannot live unto yourself. I am there, my family is there, that's all. I'll not look at others. You cannot be like that. So, apta, your friends, your relatives, you have to satisfy them also. And like this, what happens? Tayor mitho hridaya granthi mahuhu. The knot in the heart that this is mine becomes stronger and stronger. This is my job, this is my business, this is my wealth, these are my children, this is my family, this is my house, these are my relatives. One knot after another you are keeping on adding. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. And people are working under this illusion. This is mine and I am this body. Just because I have this body, I wanted to satisfy the bodily desire of my attraction to an opposite sex. That led to what? That led to a source of income, that led to a house, that led to children, that led to relatives, that led to friends. One after the other, it is leading. This is how the aham mameti conception develops. Somebody may question, so what's the problem? You can enjoy, you can earn money, that's how the whole world runs, right? All motivational speakers, everybody, they tell you that, you work hard and work intelligently, work smartly, earn money, and have a family and have friends, have relatives, and this is life, enjoy. This is what people say. So what's wrong in this? You may be under the conception, false conception, aham mameti, this is mine, I am this body, but still these are all sources of enjoyment. Brahma, Lord Brahma in his prayers for creative energy, he also explains this phenomenon in this material world about this aham mameti, I am this body and mine. Lord Brahma says, Tavad bhayam dravana deha suhran nimittam. Tavad bhayam dravana deha suhran nimittam. So dravana means wealth. Suhrat means friends. And deha means body. So all these things, the same thing what, in the earlier verse also we said. What is that? Sutapta, griha sutapta vittair. Same thing in other words. Brahma is saying, dravana deha nimittam. So, the people are attracted for all these things. And because of that, not only that, what happens is, shokaha spriha paribhavo vipulascha lobha. Because of attraction for these things, vipulascha lobha, people's hearts are captured by intense greed. Vipulascha lobha. Lobha means greed. Vipulascha lobha. Intense greed has captured their hearts. That's why everyone is working hard. More money, more money, more money. How much ever money you give me is not satisfied. And because of that, what happens is spriha. He is very much attached to these things. Dravana, deha, suhran, nimitta, all these things he is very much attached to his friends, to his relatives, wife, children, all these things. And shokaha, because of all these things, what happens is shokaha and bhaya. He has to face two things. One is shoka, he has to experience lot of distresses in this world, and also he has to experience great fear. Tavad bhayam and spriha. Both things one has to experience. Spriha means the more and more things you add to your life, the more and more you become attachment. The more and more you become attached. And the more you become attached, there are more objects of attachment for you in this world. What happens is bhaya comes, fear comes. Where will I lose these things? Suppose my wealth is lost. Suppose I lose my job. Suppose some of my relatives fall sick. What if they die? Fear conquers the heart. And then Lord Brahma says that like this, the people, they are conquered by these thoughts of mama, this is mine. And not only are they conquered by those thoughts of this one, what happens? Tavan mameti asatavagraha artimulam. This conception of mameti, mama, this is mine. First is deha, I am this body. Then mama, everything related to the body is mine. Tavan mameti asatavagraha artimulam. So this body itself is asat. It is temporary. It will not stay permanently. Someday or the other, all of us have to die and give up this body. So therefore, everything related to this body is also asat. It is also temporary. And because of accepting these temporary things related to this body as mine, what happens? Arti moolam. This conception of aham and mama, that body is me and everything related to the body is mine, it becomes the source of all distresses that we experience in our lives. So you see, somebody may say, what is wrong? Like this we can enjoy. You cannot enjoy, because that very conception of all these are mine are going to give you great distress in this world. Arti moolam. Moolam means the root. Arti means distress. The root cause of all our distresses in this material world is my sense of mameti, mine. This is mine. And yavannate angrim abhayam pravrinita lokaha. Until, and people will have to keep undergoing this distress under the conception of aham mama, I am this body and everything related to the body is mine. Until yavan, until te angrim, yavanna te angrim, until they do not take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, yavanna te angrim Abhayam Pravrinita Lokaha, until the Pravrinita Lokaha, until the world, anybody in this world takes shelter of your lotus feet, until such time they cannot become free from this fear and distress which afflicts everyone in this material world. Because the Lord's lotus feet, Yavannate Angrim Abhayam, the Lord's Krishna's lotus feet are the only shelter where you can find Abhaya, freedom from all fear. Until one comes to the point of devotional service to Krishna, what happens? One will always be under the conception of Aham and Mama. This body is me and everything related to this body is mine. And that becomes Arati Moolam. That becomes the source of all distress in this material world. So you see, Chanchalapati Prabhu was able to give up his seat and get up. Why? Because he is a spiritual person. He understands that after all, 2.5 hours, what's the big deal? Getting attached to this seat. If not this seat, I'll get some other seat. Okay, you sit down. And the other man, he also knows the fact that it's only for 2.5 hours, but he's too much attached. He cannot give up that attachment. So until one gives up one's attachment to everything related to the body, until one gives up these conceptions, bodily conceptions of life, which is, I am this body, this family is mine, these are my parents, this is my wife, this is my husband, these are my children, this is my country, this is my religion. Until one gives up all these bodily conceptions, one cannot become free from distress, one cannot become free from fear. One will always be chased by these things, by these two afflictions of distress and fear. One cannot become free from these things. Now question comes, now what happens is that the Srimad-Bhagavatam, it explains why a person like the man who was going on the aircraft, he also knows that this flight is only for 2.5 hours. So why he cannot give up his seat? Why can he not wait patiently until some other seat is allotted to him? Why does he have to get so upset? This is the matter of a small seat. Now imagine the body which a person is occupying, and that body you have to occupy for so many years, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years you have to occupy. How much more you will be attached to everything related to this body? If for a 2.5 hour seat you are so much attached, then you can imagine if you have to, how much attached you will be to your family, to your children, to your home, to your job in which you are working for so many years, and to the land in which you are born, how much you will be attached. So why can people not see this simple reality, simple fact that all these things are temporary? Why do people become attached so much? Because that attachment is the source of all distress that one has to undergo and the source of all fear that one experiences in this world. So why are people not able to see this? Why only somebody who surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna can see this? Why this condition? Because the Bhagavatam describes that in the 10th canto that Yatha Brahmarika Drishtya Brahmayativa Mahiyate Chitte Kartari Tatratma Karteva Aham Dhya Smritihi. So what happens? A living entity, when he gets into the body, a material body, according to his past karma, he gets a material body. What happens? He is now occupying the body, and this body is controlled by the 3 modes of material nature. And the 3 modes of material nature are running this body, and because I have identified myself with the body, whatever the 3 modes of material nature are dictating, I assume that these are my desires. And the example is given, Yatha Brahmarika Drishtya Brahmayativa Mahiyate. Brahmarika Drishtya, when a person becomes dizzy, what happens? He looks at the world, he thinks the whole world is revolving like this. Now a person who is not dizzy, who is standing next to him, he can see nothing is revolving. But this man who has got, his head has started spinning, he thinks the whole world is spinning around. Actually, the world is not spinning. But because his head has become dizzy, he sees the whole world spinning around him. This is called conditioning. Similarly, when a person assumes this material body to be himself, then what happens? He sees the whole world in that prism. This body is I am this body, therefore everything in this world associated with the body is mine. He starts seeing through that prism. Just like a person whose head is spinning, he sees the whole world is spinning. Now you can explain to that person who is dizzy, no, everything is fine, everything is normal, see properly, everything is standing still. No matter how much you explain, he cannot make out. Because for him, it will keep on spinning. He is helpless. Helplessly, he is seeing that the world is spinning. His vision has become like that. His vision has become clouded by his dizziness. So until you give some medicine or some intervention you do and stop that dizziness, you cannot change his vision. No matter what instruction you give, whatever you do, his vision of the world spinning will not stop. Similarly, as long as we do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna and render devotional service to him, beginning with chanting Hare Krishna mantra, that is the medicine we have to take to remove the dizzy condition of ours. Until we surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, we will not be able to overcome that conception of this is mine, aham mameti. We cannot overcome on our own. It is not possible. You can give any amount of lectures, any amount of jnana you can give, you can study the Upanishads, you can study Vedanta Sutra, all that you can do. But until you come to the point of rendering devotional service to Krishna, you will not be able to overcome the sense of this is mine. And therefore, as long as we are under that conception of aham mameti, we will be forced to undergo distresses and fearful situations in this world. And Devahuti understands that very well, and so that is why she is saying that yaha avagraha aham mameti. This avagraha, this misconception of this is mine, Karta Mumini is my husband, these 9 daughters are my children, you are my son, I am a woman, all these conceptions that I am carrying in my mind, she is saying these are all avagraha. These are all actually not reality. So, she is saying, this is a great delusion. This is the illusion everybody is under in. So, athame deva sammoham, this delusion that I have got into, that I am this body and everything related to the body is mine. Apakrashtum tvamarhasi. You are the person who is capable of removing this delusion. If anybody wants to become free from the delusion of aham mameti and wants to become free from attachment to all these temporary objects of this material world and wants to become fearless and wants to become free from all distress in this material world, then only way is one has to approach a spiritual master. And when we approach a spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, what will he do? He will engage us in devotional service to Krishna. This is the first thing that a bona fide guru or spiritual master will do. He will engage you in devotional service to Krishna. And when we engage in devotional service to Krishna, what will happen? Gradually, that covering of Maya, the covering of delusion, because of which we are identifying ourselves with the body, will gradually be lifted. This covering of aham mameti is also because of the Maya or the illusory potency of Krishna. That is why Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad-gita, Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. The covering of the illusory potency of Krishna is impossible to be crossed over by anybody on his own. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Only those who surrender unto Krishna can cross over the illusory potency, Maya. Why? Because that Maya potency belongs to Krishna. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Krishna says that this Maya, this illusory potency is his energy. Therefore, if he surrendered to Krishna, then Krishna will lift that veil of Maya and we will be able to see things in their true form. So, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, the fact is that because this illusory potency of Krishna also belongs to Krishna, therefore, in that sense, Devahuti is saying, Etasmin yojitaha tvaya. She is saying that she has been engaged by Krishna's Maya in the thinking of Aham Mameti. This body is me and all these are mine. How she has got engaged in that? Because of Krishna only. How? Not that Krishna wanted to sadistically put us under the control of illusion. No. It is the energy of Krishna, Maya energy of Krishna, which is putting us into illusion. In that sense, because the energy of Krishna is putting us into that Maya, in that sense, Krishna is actually putting us into Maya. Now, why should Krishna's energy put us into Maya? Because we desire to enjoy independent of Krishna. And our constitutional position is we have to give pleasure to Krishna. We cannot enjoy ourselves independent of Krishna. And therefore, when we desire like that, Krishna, because we are always part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is very loving and caring towards us, Krishna says, okay, I'll make all suitable arrangements by which you can try to enjoy yourself. And so, Krishna creates this material world, and he creates his and he hands us over to the illusory potency to create that illusion that I am this body, so that we can we can make our own plans how to enjoy independent of Krishna. If that illusion that I am the body is not there, we will not be able to make any plan for enjoyment in this material world. Because constantly the truth is staring at us in our face. What is that? This body is temporary. It is going to die one day. All my relatives, so-called relatives, possessions, wealth, job, all these things that I have, these are all going to disappear one day. Even that seat on the plane or the flight or the bus or the train, after your journey, 1 hour, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, whatever that is, you have to give it up. But because of the covering of Maya, we become so much attached. We think, no, this is my seat. How can somebody else occupy it? You see how the covering of Maya is. Even that 2.5 hour journey, you cannot give up that sense of this is mine. Why? Because Maya is covering. Maya is not allowing you to see even 2.5 hours ahead of time. Forget about your lifespan of 80 years or 100 years. You will never be able to see that at the end of 80 years or 100 years, I'm going to die. Everything what I'm calling is mine will all be finished. If you're not able to see 2.5 hours ahead of time, what will you see 80 years ahead of time, 100 years ahead of time? This is how the covering potency of the illusory potency of Krishna works. So, until we surrender to Krishna and chant Krishna's holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, this covering, this curtain of Maya will not be lifted. We will not be able to see the temporary nature of this material world, and we will continue our attachment to all the temporary objects which we come in contact with, and because of that we will be put into great distress and fear in this material world. So those who want abhaya, freedom from fearful situations and freedom from distresses, like Devahuti is giving all these, is coming to surrendering to Kapila Deva and telling him that she wants to become free from this conception of mind because she had got frustrated with this conception of mind and all the distresses she has to undergo because of this. So therefore, any intelligent person, if he wants to find a solution to the situations of fear and distress within this material world, he has to take shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada and engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna, and that's the only way to be able to overcome that covering of the illusory potency, Maya, because of which we come under the strong delusion that this body is me and everything related to the body is mine. So, these are some of the things which we can understand from today's purport and verse. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Anybody has any comment or question? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।